Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're back in a War Thunder looking at another devblog. The Ki-67 Hiryu, the Japanese dragon, has just been released in devblog form, and basically it's another Japanese medium bomber. If you know anything about the Ki-49s, the Ki-67 seems to just be a direct upgrade of what the Ki-49 was. A medium bomber which doesn't have a huge bomb load, but has quite a bit of speed, and is very much Japanese in the way that it's going to play. When we look at its defensive armaments, it is actually slightly better than most of the Japanese bombers that we have right now. We have 120mm Ho-5. If you don't know about the Ho-5, it is present on the Ki-84 Ko, the Ki-61-2, the Ki-84 Otsu. It's relatively low velocity for that kind of BR, around 5, if we compare it to like the 20mm from Germany and the Hispanos, but it's still, you know, useful. It is only one though in the top turret, very similar to the Ki-49, but it also has several high caliber Ho-104 machine guns, so it's the turret version of the Ho-103, which is also present on the Ki-84, the Ki-61 Ko, and Ki-61-2. So, you know, if you have a feel for those guns, they're the guns that you're going to get on this thing. It seems to have four turrets on it. Basically, you have the front gun in the front, just in front of the pilot. Then you have the tail gun, you know, coming out of the end of the plane. Then you have two side gunners. Very similar, once again, to the Ki-49. If we look at the Ki-49, we have one gun pointing straight out the front, one out the back, and then we have two side gunners, one looking below, and a 20 up top. Now, I can't see whether there is a gunner on the bottom of this plane, but you know, generally, it wouldn't surprise me if there was. The 20 in the top is very useful, especially in the turreted form that it's shown that it's going to be in. It's going to cover the whole of the altitude above you, which is very useful. One of the big issues, though, is if anybody knows how to attack a Ki-49, they're going to be able to attack a Ki-67 with no issues. You go at it from below, and if you decide to sit behind it, maybe you'll get lucky and that massive rudder will get in the way of that 20mm. A lot of the other guns, the 12.7s, are generally pretty useless, because even though you have really good coverage from all of the guns, generally you can only get one gun firing at once. So if somebody is sat behind you, then you only have one tail gunner. If somebody is sat to the side of you, then you'll have the 20 hopefully firing and one of the 12.7s. If they're sat in front of you, they'll only have one gun pointing at you. One of the great things about aircraft, such as the B-29, the Halifax, the B-17, is that you don't always just have one gunner shooting at the attacker, because even though you have all of the coverage, you generally have two guns per gun placement, and also you have more coverage. If we take the Halifax, for example, you have a turret on the top of the Halifax, and also the tail turret, which encompasses 6 7.7s if we add both turrets together, and generally you can shoot anything that's behind you, above, below, anything like that. So that's why that is makes it good. The issue with the Ki-49s and the Ki-67 is that even though the coverage is good, it's only covered by one gun mostly. You don't have overlapping arcs of fire when it comes to a lot of these guns. So basically, what are you getting out of the Ki-67? You're getting a faster Ki-49 with a very similar bomb load. It's going to carry up to 800 kilograms of bomb load, which isn't great. It's also going to carry 50, 100, 250 and 500 kilo bomb loads, which once again isn't great. It's an issue that all Japanese bombers have. There are some actually really good bombers when it comes to Japan. The P1Y1, when it first came out, I didn't really enjoy it, but now that I've played it a bit more, the fact that you can get the two 500 kilos or the torpedo, which can be dropped basically at any speed that you fly at, up to 481 kilometers an hour, makes it quite a good aircraft. It's about as fast as the Ki-67 is going to be as well. Not the same armaments, but probably going to handle very similarly. But the good thing about it, compared to the Ki-49s, is that it has that option of having two 500s, where if we look at the Ki-49s, your options are 1250s, 4 250s, 1 500, 1 800, or 1 800, depending on what type of 800 you want to get, either like anti-shipping or one of them's an AP bomb, one of them is basically a TNT bomb, a HE bomb. So one's good for killing ships, the other one is good for killing ground targets. So that's probably what you're going to get from the Ki-67 as well. You're going to get that type of bomb layout. Maybe if you could have two 500 kilos instead of the 1-800, maybe that'll be much more useful, but this will just be exactly the same as how the Ki-49s are in game, and generally you don't really see a lot of Ki-49s. I enjoy flying them personally, but the issue is as they go up in the rankings, like the first one, the first Ki-49 at 3.0 is very similar to the last Ki-49 that we have, which is the 2B late. The Ki-49 at 3.0 has the same bomb loads. It has the same turrets, I believe. Let's see, 120mm Hoei, 5.77s. Okay, so the 2B late has 3 12.7s and 2 7.7s, whereas the Ki-49I has 5 7.7s. So, not a huge difference. There is a bit of a power difference, but really nothing to write home about. So, you have a whole 1.3 BR spread here, where there's not really much change to these aircraft. And that's generally been the issue with stuff like the Ki-49. It's the same issue that the Wellington line has. The Wellingtons have a BR spread of 1 if you go and look at all of them at 2.3, 2.7, 3.0, and 3.3. But the massive difference between the Wellington Mark 10 and the Wellington Mark 1C is that it has a few extra guns, and that's really about it. It has a quad turret in the back, whereas the first Wellington only has 2 guns in the back, a dual turret. So, where's this Ki-67 going to fit in the game? The way that they've talked about it is it's a better version of a Ki-49, which it is. They're also going to put 2 variants in, the Ko and the Otsu. The only difference, they say, is that the Otsu has 2 paired high-caliber machine guns in its tail turret, as well as addition of an anti-shipping radar system. So the anti-shipping radar system obviously won't matter in the game, and having one extra gun in the tail of this thing, I wonder if that would even change its BR. To be quite honest, I don't think it would make that much of a difference. But if we look at where it's going to be in the tree, you've got the Ki-49 2B late at 4.3, and then the G5N1 at 5.0. So these 2 planes are going to slot between the Ki-49 2B and the G5. Because the G5, even though it's not a very good plane in game, just because of its size, it's very easy to take down, very easy to unbalance, and even though its turrets are okay, with only 220mm very low velocity stuff, it's not, the best in the world. But you also have the P1Y1 Mod 11 at 4.7, and I think the P1Y1 is very similar to the to these planes that they're putting in, the Ki-67. So I can definitely see both of these planes being at 4.7. So then you've got a choice. Do you take the P1Y1 or do you take the Ki-67? So the Ki-67 is going to give you a bit more armament, a bit more defense, but the P1Y1 is going to give you a torpedo and 500 kilos. They're going to be very similar in speed, which is pretty decent for a medium bomber. But overall, the P1Y1, in my opinion, is going to be more useful. It's going to be more useful in ground forces because, as I said, you can carry 2 500s instead of just 1 800 or 4 250s. Maybe if you're a bit more precise, 4 250s is the way to go for you. But you can also take that... Well, you can't take that on the P1Y1, sorry. You can only take 2 250s. So yeah, maybe that's where you can, you know, bridge the gap. But overall, it's another medium bomber, which unfortunately doesn't really fit the game. I've talked about with attackers, where attackers really struggle in the game right now, especially in realistic battle. They don't really have a place. They have a little place in enduring confrontation, which is good, and seeing that rise and more effort being put into it, looking at that new Pacific stuff they're talking about. So maybe attackers will play a bigger role. Obviously in ground forces there's a role, but in ground forces for Japan, would you rather take a P1Y1 or a Ki-67? That's the choice that you're going to have to make, because, you know, basically there's no real fighter for Japan around the 4.7 mark which has an ample bomb load, so you can't have something like a P-47 if you want to. The Ki-102 is straight garbage against tanks, which is very sad, since its 57 only has a hefty, and the Ki-83 with its 30mm has, well, only up to 23mm of pen. So you're not going to do a lot with that, and also 2 by 50 kilo bombs. So, you know, you're not going to kill any tanks with the Ki-83 anytime soon. So if you need something to fill that 4.7 slot for ground forces, even though there is no tank at 4.7 right now for the Japanese. Let's say you run a 5.0 lineup. So you run a 5.0 lineup in tanks with the Japanese. So you run the Chiri 2. Wow, that's awful. Okay, let's go 5.3. So I could even go to 5.7. Let's go 5.7. So you take the heavy tank number 6, the M4A376, the Chiri 2, or maybe the Soki. Jesus, that's depressing. So 5.7. Planes-wise, you have the Ki-84 Otsu Hayate, you have the J2M5, so that's your fighters sorted out, but you're going to need a bomber. So your options are going to be the G5N1, the Premium B-17, the P1Y1, the B7A2, the Ki-49, or the Ki-67. Now, the option is between the P1Y1 and the Ki-67, and then I think it does come up to personal opinion. For me personally, the P1Y1 is slightly better, just because of that 2 500s. I really value that when it comes to tanks, but that's really the only situation where I can see the Ki-67 playing a pivotal role in any situation in the game. It's not going to be very good in air realistic. Air arcade, it'll be a bit of fun, but then again, all of the Japanese bombers are pretty fun in air arcade. Hopefully it is better than the Ki-49. I mean, it's definitely quicker, and its armament is upgraded from the Ki-49. So it will be a nice addition. It should be in-game as well, since quite a lot of them were produced, and it was seen as the main production variant of a medium bomber for Japan. So it's nice to see it in-game. Will it have a big impact? Probably not, around that 4.7 mark, but it will still be there, and I'll still use it, and hopefully there aren't too many P-47s in the air. I'll catch you next time.